Community connections, CKMS, local sounds, thoughts, passions, and success. Celebrate local, your neighbor's got a story to tell. Community connections, CKMS.
Happy Monday, Waterloo Region. You're listening to CKMS Community Connections for the 27th of July, 2026. In the studio with me is Michael Druker from TriTAG. Hi, Michael.
Hi, Bob.
Going to be talking to Michael in just a few minutes. Going to start off with some music by Awake and Dreaming. This is Antidote. Music from Awake and Dreaming, brand new release called Antidote. Awake and Dreaming were in the studio with us a couple of months back. Should really be getting around to getting their show notes up on the website as well. In the studio with me is Michael Druker. Why do I always get names wrong after you've told me how to pronounce it? And
That's all good.
You're with TriTAG, the Tri-Cities Transport Action Group.
That's right. So my name is Michael Druker. I'm part of TriTAG, the Tri-Cities Transport Action Group. We're a local Waterloo Region organization that has been around since 2009, and we're all about people being able to walk, bike, and take transit in Waterloo Region more easily and for more of their trips.
Right. How do you go about doing that advocacy?
Yeah. So there's a number of things that we do, and it sort of depends on the year, depends on who we have involved, but we do events sometimes. We'll show up and we'll table at relevant events, but a lot of our focus is on our website and on our newsletters, including news roundups and deep dives that we do periodically on policy topics, areas of advocacy focus, and so that's something that we will do depending on what is the current situation. So we sometimes will have projects on specific items. So some of our projects are around ION Stage 2 and beyond. We're starting up a new one on a frequent transit network, and then there's other areas that we would like to do more on, which we may spin up as happens, and we will be, for example, doing an election questionnaire for the upcoming municipal election. But that's TriTAG in a nutshell.
That's a lot of different avenues. Do you contact politicians directly?
Yes. So the way we think about this is we will ourselves present sometimes at municipal councils and put forward what we believe needs support and directions that the government should be going in. We will reach out to talk with staff or politicians sometimes, but one of the biggest things that we try to do is we try to encourage the public to get in touch with their elected officials, to show up for some of these bigger decisions when needed, around budgets, around approvals, to speak up for the good things that need support, not just for things that are going the wrong way that we shouldn't be doing, and for people to be involved in some of the lower stakes engagement opportunities. There's a lot of work that's being done where public input can be really helpful to guiding it, to helping it happen well. And so one of the things we try to do is we try to connect people to those opportunities.
So that's getting people to do the delegations to council to indicate
that's right.
should happen.
To do the delegations, but that's not everyone is up for that. Some people will write emails. They'll talk in person sometimes to their elected officials. But there's also the more ongoing projects. Like, for example, right now the city of Kitchener is asking for feedback on their mobility master plan. So they're making a plan for what changes are they going to be making on streets and pathways, and that's something where more public input on the things that are good and figuring out the details can really make a difference in what gets built, what gets prioritized.
Right. I guess giving people the opportunity to tell council and politicians the things that are good keeps TriTAG, more at the forefront, more of a credible source of public information, of the public opinion.
Yeah, we're trying to walk a line with our perspective where we want to push our governments to do better, but we also want to remain within the realm of what is practical, what is possible, because there's a lot of pressures on governments. We know budgets are not unlimited, and so there's a lot of different constraints. So it's possible to be really invested in a very specific policy that just is not in the cards in the current year. And so we want to remain in the realm of what is potentially possible. We want to push what's possible, but we also, when there's something good and it has a chance of being done, we want to help to support the good thing.
Right.
For example, ION was something we had a number of concerns about. We had a number of aspects of the way the iron light rail line was built and was planned that we thought were not great. And some of them, we were probably right. But the project on balance was good, and it needed support to get over the finish line. And so we don't want the perfect to be the enemy of the good in making improvements. And this is something that's that I've learned over the years in doing this advocacy work is the positive support for reasonable good work. It's very valuable because there's always with most public works, with most projects, there's always somebody that will dislike it. Sometimes they have good reasons. Sometimes they're just afraid of change. And there's always going to be negative voices on some of these things. But there's not always positive voices. And when there are positive voices where people really actually want to see a positive vision of their city, of their region, making positive changes, that's something that politicians will pay attention to. Staff will also pay attention to those things. And there's a human level to this where the people pushing for doing the work of these projects to make better streets, to improve safety, to improve transit, the people doing this work, well, they want to do work that is valuable. They want to see that their work is appreciated.
Right.
And if all they're getting is negative feedback, it's demoralizing.
Yeah.
We want good people to be doing this work. And so there's a need for kind of that balance and for speaking up for things, not just against things.
Right, right. It's always easy to be negative. And I think that a large proportion of the people who are in favor of some of these transportation projects never speak up because, things are going well.
Yeah. And I think it's this is something where some of these projects, there's been a cultural shift over time. Some of the things that we're advocating for, like better walking, biking, transit infrastructure, they're a little bit more mainstream in the culture than they might have been at the outset. But it's easy to take the current thing for granted. It's easy to take what exists for granted. But all of these policies, projects, infrastructure, they take work. They take work to advance and keep going, and that progress can be halted if the political support isn't there.
Right.
But sometimes even to keep the current thing also requires support. Sometimes something seemed like this is the new direction, and it was tried, and it gets pulled back because politically it seems there's more opposition than support.
Right.
So it is important to pay attention to this.
I'm not sure if it's social media or if it's budget crunches or whatever, but there seems to be a lot more engagement with negativity for council projects, not just transportation, but housing and other issues as well. And that makes me believe that an organization like TriTAG is more important than ever.
Well, we'd like to hope so. So we definitely want to talk about the things that are happening. It's easy to look at the bike lane that can't be built due to provincial policy, but there are still improvements that can be made and should be made. Lots of things to do, and so it's not useful to despair. The algorithms may want you to despair or to just be angry, and there's a place for that, but that's not the only way to engage with our local governments.
Right. Has this been an ongoing thing for a while? Have you seen a trend towards increased public engagement, positive or negative?
I'm not sure if there is a necessarily a increased in engagement overall. I think there's always it really depends on whether people really care just on their own about a topic. There are things that capture people's imagination in a way that other things don't, even though they're important.
Yeah.
But it also depends on how much effort is put into the public engagement. How easy is it to find out about this information? And so it's a combination of all of these things. I think with with digital channels, with social media, it is possible for something to really take off and get a whole lot of engagement in a way that probably would not have been as easy, a number of years back. But I don't know if I've seen a specific trend.
No trend. Okay. I want to get back to some of the history of TriTAG.
Sure.
But I think what I want to do first, play another tune by Awaken Dreaming. This is their other new release that came out this week, called Cold Shoulder.
Give me the cold shoulder. That's okay, 'cause I'm over it. Do what your TV told you. It's easier if you numb the pain. Ooh, but the rope's getting tighter around your wrists, tied up in all of your regrets. Give me another order. Is it lonely up there at the top? Ooh, you're a great performer. Smile and wave, smile and wave. Ooh, if you wanna break free from your gilded cage. Oh, how easy you forget. Go on, give me the cold shoulder. Come on, give us the cold shoulder. Go on, give me the cold shoulder. Come on, give us the cold shoulder. I'm gonna dance in the street while it's burning. I'm gonna dance in the street while it's burning. I'm gonna dance in the street while it's burning. I'm gonna dance in the street while it's burning. I'm gonna dance in the street while it's burning. I'm gonna dance in the street while it's burning. I'm gonna dance in the street while it's burning.
Awaken Dreaming with Cold Shoulder. 2 releases in the last week. This is one of them. Nice to hear more music from them. In the studio with me is Michael Druker from TriTAG, who TriTAG has been advocating for transportation issues locally to governments. Mentioned the provincial legislation banning bike lanes, building of new bike lanes. Is TriTAG reaching as far as the province for its advocacy?
Not usually. Usually, most of our advocacy is local.
Yeah.
I think we're not. It's not beyond us to weigh in on provincial policy.
Right.
But I think that's not something where we necessarily have as big a voice.
Right, right. Seems to me that, since the invention of the horse and buggy, there's been need for advocacy for transport. How long's been TriTAG how long has TriTAG been around?
Yeah, so we were formed in 2009, right in some of the push for the Waterloo Region Rapid Transit Project, as it was known at the time.
Okay.
So now ION, and we're a small group, but there's a big grassroots push for that project. A lot of people were excited about it. There was a lot of community opposition to it, and that was something that was very much a forward-looking project, thinking about infrastructure for the future, thinking about the bigger picture in terms of land use. And that's the kind of thing that it's easy to dismiss on the basis of short-term impacts. But that's something that there was a vision that a lot of people really believed in, and we were a group that formed to help to advocate for ION, but also for issues that are around other aspects of local mobility. So it's not only trains, it's not only light rail, but it is walking, biking, transit with a perspective of choice. We want people to be able to choose these modes. We want them to be good, and help people to not have to depend on cars, which is true for a lot of people right now.
Was the vision of TriTAG originally to be that broad?
Yes, and so a big focus was light rail, but there's other things that we have pushed for around frequent transit, improved bus speeds and routing, for filling in sidewalks, for safer bike lanes, winter sidewalk clearing. These are all things that are part of the big picture. Not everyone in our group equally uses all modes of travel.
No.
And that's true for the public, and that's fine. But the big picture includes all of these modes. They're all part of a picture of helping to get away from dependency on cars.
Right.
Part of the picture is also land use, because if you put things closer together, people can walk between more places. Transit becomes more useful.
And if there's less dependency on cars, there's less need for parking lots, and so more available amenities, shopping, housing.
Yeah. So there's a lot of potential topics, and so within that, we will focus on some specific things. But in terms of the organization, so we've been around since 2009. A lot of our focus was on the ION project from probably around 2009, 2014, when it was the contract was awarded, and that was very intense advocacy around that time. But there was a period sort of when the ION project was well underway, and when we hadn't the initial group lost some steam. We had a bit of hiatus around the pandemic, but afterwards, Rodney Chan, who's a planning student at UW, reached out, and we worked on restarting it, getting some fresh blood, and getting it going again. And I think we're fully back in business. We're publishing our news roundups and doing advocacy. And
I was wondering about the ups and downs of TriTAG, because the LRT up here in Kitchener and Waterloo is pretty much complete and seems to be quite a success, a far bigger success than I had anticipated. And even I'm a transit advocate, happy to see the transit and very happy to see how well it's gone. And so I was just wondering, do you see an end to the need for TriTAG? Everything is working and there's no longer a need to advocate for more transit because we've got it all?
I think that is possible, but I think if you look at even jurisdictions that are doing pretty well on one mode of transport, so even even in the Netherlands, there are bike infrastructure advocates in the Netherlands. So a lot of things can still be improved, but I think here, objectively, we have a long way to go.
Yeah.
Like if you look at the numbers, it's like upwards of 80% of trips in Waterloo region are made by car.
Yeah.
And I think if you ask most people, is transit viable for them? The answer is going to be no. Is biking viable for them? They're going to tell you about how they feel it's too dangerous.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of work to do. Even if we're doing great streets that are perfectly safe going forward, well, what about all the existing streets? How do we retrofit all the existing streets?
Right.
There's a lot of work to do. If it happens to be the case that the biggest advocates are doing this work in government and it's perfect, great, cool. I think
happy to sit with your feet up drinking coffee.
that would be fine. But I think it's a long way to go, and even in terms of ION, so we right now there's an approved project for ION Stage 2, extending it to Cambridge, as was originally promised. That was part of the deal. Part of the deal originally was it's going to be done in 2 phases. First phase is going to be Kitchener-Waterloo. That has, it's about half the route, half the cost, but had at the time about 2/3 of ridership, and that was about as much as the region was going to be able to fund.
Yeah.
There was really no way that they could have done the whole thing at the time. But we're on the other side of it, and the project has been built, and it works. It does the thing it was supposed to do. People like it.
Yeah.
It serves as the spine of the transit network. It has a great ability to help to shape where development goes.
Even before it was built, it was doing that.
That's right. And I mean, even now, from what I hear, there's some developer responsiveness to like, where is stage 2 ION going to go? That matters, because it matters to people who are deciding where they want to set up their business, where they want to live. People want to live next to ION in a way that people do want better transit, but they're not necessarily going to make life choices around really long-term decisions around where the 204 bus goes, where
Right.
that can be rerouted, and there's these perennial debates about transit technologies and which ones work. But I think the story of ION does work for helping to shape
Right.
growth to be more into the center, more along this corridor, which means people can travel on transit, people can walk more because they're in this corridor where there's more stuff that they can get to. And that also means we're not building as many roads. It means better safety, fewer people having to drive on big suburban arterial roads. And so that's directionally where we want to go. But now we need to bring it to Cambridge, fulfill the original vision. But why would we stop there? So there's a need for more high quality, high capacity transit. And so we want to help to push for more ION, and figure out how do we structure our transit construction programs so that we can actually do that.
Right. In 2009, one of the very first public consultation meetings that they had up in St. Jacobs, there was actually a plan to have the LRT extend all the way from Elmira right through St. Jacobs Marketplace, all the way down to the far south end of Cambridge, which was great. I mean, I live in Elmira. I could really have used that. But that didn't happen. It kept getting scaled back bit by bit by bit to the point where the Cambridge leg has not yet been built.
It's one of the themes in the transit the transit world in North America, even beyond. It's the cost of transit construction, and so if we look at the cost of ION Stage 1, at the time, for Waterloo Region, it seemed like a really expensive project, really big, but a lot of that was because it seemed unproven. It seemed that this is something that maybe won't work in Waterloo Region. It's a small community. All of these things, but the role it played in the transit network, the route going through high use corridors meant that no, actually it did work. It does make sense. And so when we look at it, the cost on a comparative scale actually was pretty low. Like, it was a reasonable project in terms of construction costs. And that increasingly isn't the case for a lot of projects in Greater Toronto area, like Eglinton, Finch West, and elsewhere. And there's knowable reasons for why this has started to happen. And that's something we want to take better charge of here as ION Stage 2 is built, because we think Waterloo Region could do as it did the first time around, and build cost effectively. If it does that, that opens up the possibility of building more transit infrastructure, because we can build this for relatively less money.
More light rail infrastructure?
More light rail, but in some cases more, maybe it's busways, maybe it's better stations, maybe it's infill stations. Maybe in some places we actually need to grade separate. Maybe we need to do a light metro at some point. But a lot of that depends on the ability to build effectively. And so we actually need to build that capacity for effective transit construction. And that's kind of, it's not a absolute question of does a certain route make sense. It actually depends. It depends on what is your ability to deliver.
So, considering the success of the first phase of the ION, what's the resistance to the second phase?
I mean, I think today the second phase is it's gone through a few revisions. There's periodically various questions around Cambridge City Council around whether the land use changes are really acceptable around the line, or how much they're bought in. But at the end of the day, the project is approved. The project is fully approved. It's gone through all the transit the transit project assessment steps. It has an approved route. It is, and the key thing for it, of course, is land use around the station areas. But that's something where provincial policy requires that major transit station areas are planned for more density, for not requiring parking, and so ultimately Cambridge's land use plans do support it or will support it by the time it's built. The actual barrier is funding. So the Region of Waterloo is seeking upper level funding for the project from the provincial government and the federal government.
I understand that costs have ballooned a lot since the initial planning of phase 1 and phase 2 together.
Yes and no. Cost estimates have ballooned.
Okay.
It's actually too early to say that costs have gone up. There's definitely ways in which the cost estimates for ION kind of reflect the I would say the practices, the poor cost practices of some Metrolinx projects and some projects elsewhere. We don't have to follow the lead of those projects. We can follow the lead of ION Stage 1 and get it built more cost effectively. And so I don't know what amount of funding we are going to get and when. What TriTAG hopes is that funding can be used for a program. So yes, we should get funding in the same way that other communities have been getting funding. So Hamilton, Mississauga, a number of lines in Toronto, all these places are getting funding for some of these lines that are being built in ways that are like much less effective than Ion Stage 1 was. But our take is that we should get that funding, but we should use that funding for a program that is more than just Ion Stage 2. And so if we're able to create a structure in which there's actually an incentive to build more effectively and build more, potentially for the amount that those cost estimates show. Maybe we could build more than one line.
That would be pretty incredible. I wonder whether or not increasing the scope like that is one of the detriments to getting more funding.
And we shouldn't increase the scope. That's definitely it should be a structure for a program in which there can be individual projects, individual increments. So actually, we shouldn't be making bigger mega projects where you put all your effort into this one project and then you're done. And then you don't even think about building for a generation.
Right.
Because, well, that's a recipe for forgetting how to build.
Yeah.
And so rather, we would like to see even Stage 2 find a way to potentially break up the project delivery. Like maybe we can build part of it, and open it earlier. Maybe going from Fairway to Sports World and then Preston.
Okay.
Maybe there's an interim opening.
In separate stages there.
Potentially.
Like sub-phases.
Sub-phases, and not because that's necessarily like the best way to open the transit line, but just because momentum on the project is good, and behind the scenes, they maybe should be different contracts. There should be agile project management of the construction, so that it's not, spending years and years to get one mega consortium of companies that's going to build the whole thing, and we really hope that we put all the clauses into the project agreement so that they build it correctly, and then we don't end up with disputes during and afterwards.
Yeah.
Instead, build it a little bit more conventionally. Figure out what are the pieces you need to build, who can do those pieces, how do you get good unit costs for the components, have standardized contracts that you don't need a mega consortium to bid on. Maybe electrical.
Using the knowledge from the previous phase.
Using knowledge from the previous phase, using knowledge from how we do procurement for other projects. It's not transit, there's more coordination, but it's not magical. It's, you need stations, you need platforms, but there's concrete, it's glass, it's metal, you need electrical, you need some substations, you need grading, you might need a bridge. Like these are not rocket science. And those are things that can be tackled through effective project management techniques.
All the individual parts have been done before.
They're exactly, and this is light rail. This isn't. We're not doing deep tunnel boring. We're not. There's more complex. There's more complex transit builds than this. It's so we should. Be able
we can
to
do it. We just have to do the planning.
We can exactly, and we need to care about the way the project is structured. So there needs to be the incentives and the staff, right? So there's a chicken and egg problem with the local government without a specific program that's funded, which is how do you fund the staff that have this in-house expertise and have them persist across projects?
Right.
If you have not gotten
that's the important thing, keeping that memory alive. Yeah. Looking in the Michael Druker crystal ball, when do you expect the groundbreaking for Phase 2 to start?
I would hesitate to make a prediction. I would not be surprised if the upper levels of government are waiting until after the municipal election to make any funding announcements.
Okay.
But after that, the Region of Waterloo has some funding approved in the 2026 budget to do some early construction work already. And even now, there's actually been some work already done. So if you look on King Street near Sports World, there's a big concrete median in the middle of the road from a road reconstruction. The median is waiting for ion to be placed on top. The utilities are already
okay.
out of the way. And so there's other early works that the region could be doing, potentially starting this year. But for the bigger contracts, it's going to depend how they, what kind of procurement strategy they choose,
Right.
and how much time it takes to prepare.
Right.
So if they do an extensive public-private partnership like the first time around, well, that's probably going to add another year to preparing all of the contracts.
I'm sure there are people who are happy to incur any delay possible, and other people who are fretting at the bit
Yeah.
to get it built as soon as possible.
So hopefully not too many years. We want to see more than one groundbreaking.
Right. There are lots of other projects that are afoot, transport projects, public transit projects, infrastructure projects. I want to discuss some of those. This is not the Ion show. So get into that in just a bit. I'm going to play another bit of new music by Vampire Doo-Wop, who were in the studio with us last year. This is a new track called Vampires in Space.
Vampires in space, vampires in space. I thought I saw you fall like lightning, 140 million miles away.
A planet burst to pieces is frightening.
Watched it happen on a Valentine's Day. Vampires in space, vampires in space.
Fighting for a rightful place. Vampires in space.
138 back tunes has passed now. That's ages of time for you and I. Our hunger is a sickness that never will be cured.
Until we reach the world beyond the sky.
Vampires in space, vampires in space. The last of the human race. Vampires in one last embrace. Vampires in space. One last embrace. Vampires in space.
It's a long way to Sky World.
Vampire Doo-Wop, Vampires in Space. That's Jonathan Garlow and the band with new music just released last week as well. In the studio with me is Michael Druker, who has been talking about the ION, who's been talking about TriTAG, but there's other projects that you're working on.
There are other projects. So one that we've gotten started recently is advocating for frequent transit network. So that is something that is in the current business plan for Grand River Transit.
Okay.
But it is also subject to annual budget deliberations. And so it's unclear when exactly it will be happening or to what extent. We would like it to happen sooner, and we would like it to happen effectively and for there to be some more excitement about it. Frequent transit is a game changer. It's something where if you're not really thinking a lot about transit, you may assume that, well, you need a bus. So is there service on some corridor? Is there service from point A to point B? But anyone who does take transit knows that it really matters how often the bus comes. If the bus comes every hour, you are going to only take that if you really have to. If the bus comes every 30 minutes, you're gonna know that you need to budget more time. It's not gonna be quite when you need it to be. You're gonna need to look at the schedule and plan your time around the schedule.
Yes.
The more it gets to every service that's around every 15 minutes or every 10 minutes, which is around what ION runs, and some of the 200 level buses, the 200 number. At that point, the service changes qualitatively, and it's a lot easier for people to use it. They don't need to worry about a schedule. They know they can just go to that place that the bus runs. They can take the bus, and that is a huge for the overall travel time. If the perceived travel time, the real travel time of transit makes it more competitive.
Yeah.
It also does this one really crucial thing in the whole transit network, which is it makes transfers a lot easier.
Well, yes.
And so if we get more frequency into some core routes, that means you can go between those routes and get way across town, not just along one corridor.
I spend an inordinate amount of time trying to, first of all, find when the bus runs, where it connects, which is the optimal connection to take, so that I don't have to spend an hour in the rain waiting for the next bus to come along. So I would really appreciate frequent transit to absolve me of all that planning work.
And this is something that we have a good foundation for. We have a few routes already in Waterloo Region, Grand River Transit, that are frequent. And so the challenge is to add frequency on other routes and to make the frequency consistent, to make it predictable and understandable. So you know which routes are frequent and reliable, and not just frequent during the day on weekdays, but you can depend on it to be there frequent enough on the weekends or evenings. And whatever that standard is, we need people to be able to know what it is and be able to rely on transit to live up to that, at least on certain corridors. And once that exists, then we can keep building on top of that, because frequency does get more people riding.
Yeah.
That will be the whole, like those routes, but it'll also be the whole network.
There have been cases where I've stood at the bus stop, waiting for 20 minutes because I've misjudged when the bus is supposed to arrive. I could have hopped in my car and been where I'm going by now.
Yeah, and so if we consider that most people they're not making their transportation decisions on the basis of what is going to be in aggregate the best choice for everyone to do. They're making decisions for optimizing their own time, and their own convenience. And people have places to be, and so if people can work around transit, that's great, because that helps us to build up transit. But it's even better if people don't have to work around transit, but transit works for them.
And you don't have to think about transit. I have far too many brain cells dedicated to memorizing schedules.
Yeah, exactly. And so so that's something that you can expect to see more from us over the next little while, of why frequent transit, how to better see the frequency in our existing network, and how to think about ways that we can accelerate the launch of a frequent transit network
Right.
for GRT.
There's a good article that TriTAG just wrote.
On why we need the frequent transit.
That's the one.
You can find our articles at tritag.ca. Subscribe to our newsletters. But yes, so we'll kind of cover the basics of what is the need for frequency, and why are there these qualitative changes in how in how transit works that come with that kind of frequency. And I think
Right.
people know this about other cities. They know this about subway networks in other cities. They kind of assume that, you're on the subway, you transfer to another subway line. Well, you don't need to think about the frequency. The subway is just there in a few minutes.
Subway is there in 2 minutes generally if you're in Toronto.
Yeah, and that's something that's that
Yeah.
requires things to be true about that system. There are systems that don't have that true,
Right.
but that assumption, there's nothing about that requires a subway. You can do that with buses
Right.
in places in, for example, Toronto has lots of frequent bus lines.
Right.
And other places do as well.
I think there's still some places in Waterloo region, the rural areas, that would be happy with any bus
Yes.
service at all.
Yeah.
I mean, we got bus service in Elmira, 2008, 2007 perhaps. Great to see the bus there, but the bus only ran during the day. Couldn't go out for a movie in the big city because you couldn't get home. If you had work in even Conestoga Mall, you couldn't work the evening shift because you couldn't get home. So it's nice to see that that's been extended.
Yeah, and transit expansion is something that there's a lot of things that we would like it to do. We would like it to cover a lot of places. We would like it to work overnight. We would like it to be closer to more people, and there's a need to prioritize. And so it really does matter. What are we using? What are we using scarce funds to do?
Yeah.
And this is where we believe frequency is one of the most important things to invest in, because it creates a positive feedback loop.
I guess increased frequency really only needs additional vehicles and some operators to work it. There's no infrastructure upgrades that are required. You've already got the bus stops, the bus routes are there, the ticketing infrastructure already exists.
I think that's right, because if you think about many of these routes, they are at that good enough frequency during peaks, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so do we have enough buses? Well, yes, during peaks. I mean,
Yeah,
I think there may be a need for spares